So, because of part of the introduction, I have a confession with you people. So that whole Spirit of Justice Award thing, I had to go down to the Indiana State House and I had to shake Mike Pence's hand, and I'm sorry. I struggled mightily. And honestly, I'm telling the truth, I struggled mightily with what to do in that moment when I realized that Mr. Pence was going to be there. I don't know why I didn't realize he wouldn't be there. Anyway, we can talk about that another time. But it feels very surreal in this current moment, and anyway. Thank you so much for each person's presence here. As I was sitting at the back table back there, as we were entering into this time of being together, gathered around songs and prayers, I did not expect that I would I'm not supposed to cry on the day I preach, right? But it happened, and I thank you, gathered community, thank you, worship planners and worship team, for making it possible for us, for me, to truly be in this space and all that it means. In a space like this, in a time like this, we are grounded by being present in a very real and visceral way with those who came before us. We've heard some of those stories, but even the stories that weren't verbalized in our time here together, we carry lots and lots of stories of those who came before us, those who shaped us, those who taught us who we are. And for good or bad, we have lived into that shaping and understanding who we are. And some of us have had to, all of us in various ways, have had to do that discerning along the way and winnowing away what isn't right and good and truly us, and figuring out who am I, who do I belong to. And one of the phrases that we've heard over and over again in this space is that part of our stories along the way that let us know in various places, among various groups of people, these are my people. When you get to a place where you can say, these are my people, how glorious is that? Hearing and saying over and over again. In this space, I've heard it, and in other places, these are my people. These days, not just these few days that we have been together, but these days, the current moment, historical moment, I have very seriously been listening to the ancestors. And when I say that, I do actually mean it in a woo-woo kind of way. Just to be clear, it's not a metaphor. All right. And in many ways, the ancestors speak to me through the words they have left behind in their poetry, and I will share some of that with you. But it has been an anchor for me. These are hard times. Even in the midst of the joy of this moment, we carry, like, the joy of this moment is shaped in part by There seems to be too much heaviness in the world for me to stay present. So I have to go to other places. I don't have to share the entire litany of events with you for you to know, but it seems fitting, it is indeed fitting, that we honor in this space, in this joy of being together, in the hard place of figuring out what does this moment mean, where do we go forward, even as places and times like Stonewall have been evoked. We remember just a few short months ago what happened in Orlando. We remember the names, the list, pulse of other places so very long. The streets, the dance halls, school parking lots, playgrounds, churches are littered with the broken bodies of someone's beloved. And when I wake up whole as I can be, it feels like a victory. When what I've started calling the hashtags of death dominate our social media timelines. And so we recall the ancestors in many, many ways. In one way that we are centered around this morning, our psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, I won't be neglected. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, restores my soul. Yahweh leads me in the right path for the sake of God's own name. And even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil." Maybe. I try not to fear that evil, for the great I am is with me, and I am comforted by your gentle protection. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely, 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 goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will be at home. We will be at home. We claim it. We will be at home. Old Testament scholar Walter Brueggemann says the Psalms are the refusal of silence before God. An understanding that an adequate relationship, these are Brueggemann's word, an adequate relationship with God permits and requires a human voice that will speak out against every wrong perpetuated either on earth or by heaven. And Brueggemann talks about this rhythm of the Psalms: orientation, disorientation, reorientation, and the Psalms help us do that. And Psalm 23 walks us through all of those. If we slow down and listen to it, it takes us to that place. And the more I read it, I'm not so sure that the psalmist is completely at peace, but wrestling with it. Ancestor poet Lucille Clifton. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped, a kind of life I had no model, born in Babylon, both non-white and a woman? What did I see except myself? I made it up. Here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight, my other hand, come. Celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. Psalm 23 is many people's first memorized scripture. It's often one heard at funerals. And I don't know how many of our lost ones in this last year alone may have had Psalm 23 recited at their homegoing service. But I hope if it was that the people who heard it, who recited it, who lived into it, understood it is a defiant psalm. The Lord is my shepherd.
All right.
Mine. I dare you to say Yahweh doesn't belong to me. I dare you to say the sanctuary of God is not my sanctuary. Seems like it's so sweet, right? So gentle. You got your quiet paths, your gentle streams. But it is a psalm of defiance. This is a psalm that says, my God shows up. And sometimes my God shows out. I don't know if y'all understand the language of showing out, but you did a little bit of it here last night. Okay? And as a follower of Jesus, you best believe I'm going to do my best to do the same. I'm showing up. When I can, I am showing up. And my beloved siblings, I thank you for showing up for each other, for yourselves, for me. Showing up and showing out. And please, don't let go of that. But even in that reality, even in that truth, now I say, here is what I deeply desire. That we continue to build up the capacity to be strong in the places the forces of evil, and I mean that so seriously, have decided we are weak. The forces that have committed, that have pitted our communities, even saying that, have pitted our communities against each other as if there cannot be more than one identity in the same body. In the same body, in the same body. Because, they say, oh, people will get mad. They will get mad, they will be uneasy, they will withdraw their support. Our being here in this place together is testament to the fact that we know how to show up for each other. But we got to do better. We have to do better. Ancestor Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. Hearing about the gift of the children of Germantown, and I know so many other congregations that are represented in this room, receiving and being in their communities, what they receive and what they are and what they share with their communities from their congregations might be the most important thing that I heard yesterday. It reminded me what Amy said about the gift that those children are already, what they know, what they inhabit, the wisdom that they have gained just by being in their congregation. Reminds me so much of what my home congregation gave me in a different way. I was nurtured in a racially integrated congregation in Cleveland. My normal as a child was black and white and multiracial families doing church together. This was my norm. This is what I thought Christians did. So I connected so much with that. I knew nothing, like I thought, and quite honestly, that's what I thought Mennonites did. I thought being a Mennonite Christian meant that you did multiracial church, like that was a thing. And as I grew older, of course, I realized that we were not the norm. But my expectation for years, it took years for me to not be surprised when I would go into a congregation and it was multiracial. But I hold on to that. It can be otherwise, y'all. We can do something different. We can be different. We can do a different thing. And we know from the history of BMC, the history of congregations like Germantown and many, many others, that this kind of community where you raise your children up in an expectation that is not what the world is showing them, but it's good and it's right and it's true, and you want them to go out and tell that truth to others, to be that truth to others. It doesn't happen on its own. We know that. It takes tending. It takes seed planting. It takes shepherding. It's born out of pain. The exhilaration of being with your people, that rare space that you sometimes have to claw your way into. And when you get there, when you find it, when you find your people, it is precious. But the danger of protecting that space so carefully is that it can become just like the spaces you were fleeing. You may not notice it, but others will. And our children will not put up with that because we raised them better. December 5th, 1955, Rosa Parks' Montgomery bus boycott lasted 381 days. It didn't come from nowhere. Stonewall, June 28th, 1969, didn't come from nowhere. The death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin on February 28, 2012 was the catalyst for the current iteration of speaking out against state-sponsored black and brown death was started by 3 queer women of color and a hashtag. This past June 12th in Orlando, the killings in the Pulse nightclub showed again that we cannot take gains in one part of any movement for people's lives for granted. We cannot afford to let false dichotomies keep us away from one another. We cannot do our best work in creating a world where everyone is free if we do not acknowledge the ways in which we belong to each other and the way that we fight for each other like we fight for ourselves. The ways in which we are familiar with the valley of the shadow of death. One more ancestor. I call her my sister, mother, warrior. Praise the Lord, Audrey Lord. I shared these words with my class, one of my classes earlier this semester because we needed to hear it, and then I put it on Facebook, and I'm trying to live into these words, and I commend them to us for this moment. Sister, Mother, Warrior, Lord says, I was going to die sooner or later, whether or not I had even spoken myself. My silences had not protected me. Your silences will not protect you. What are the words you do not yet have? What are the tyrannies you swallow day by day and attempt to make your own until you will sicken and die of them, still in silence? We have been socialized to respect fear more than our own need for language. I began to ask each time, what is the worst that can happen to me if I tell this truth? Unlike women in other countries, she writes, our breaking silence is unlikely to have us jailed, disappear, or run off the road at night. And I wonder if she would say the same now. Right? These are words written decades ago. Our speaking out will irritate some people, get us called bitchy or hypersensitive, and disrupt some dinner parties. And then our speaking out will permit others to speak until laws are changed and lives are saved and the world is altered forever. Next time, ask, what's the worst that could happen? Then push yourself a little further than you dare. Once you start to speak, people will yell at you, they will interrupt you, put you down, and suggest that it's personal, and the world won't end. Some of y'all know that. Maybe everybody in this room knows that. The world will not end. And the speaking will get easier and easier. And you will find that you have fallen in love with your own vision, which you may never have realized you had. And you will lose some friends and lovers and realize you don't miss them. And new ones will find you and cherish you. And you will still flirt and paint your nails, dress up and party, because as I think Emma Goldman said, if I can't dance, I don't want to be part of your revolution. Right. And at last you'll know with surpassing certainty that the only thing more frightening than speaking your truth is not speaking. Yes, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, Though I walk through the valley, though I walk through, I walk through, I walk. When I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, my siblings are with me. When I walk through, Yahweh God, I am who I will be. You are with me. Creator, lover, sustainer, fighter, God. You are with me. You are with us. We walk. We walk. We walk through together, and we bring each other home. Amen.